In a world where technology is rewriting the rules at lightning speed, disruption isn't coming, it's already here. The question is, are you ready? Welcome to Tech Week, your insider's guide to the digital revolution transforming business, policy, and innovation in the Philippines and beyond. I'm your host, Jack Madrid, and we are cutting through the noise to bring you the real stories shaping our future. We're talking to the risk takers, the game changers, and the architects of tomorrow, unfiltered and straight from the source. This is not just tech news, this is the roadmap to what comes next. This is Tech Week, and this is how we decode the future. A lawmaker is pushing for the passage of a bill that seeks to integrate digital literacy in the country's basic education curriculum. Quezon City 5th District Representative P.M. Vargas believes House Bill number 88-31, or the Digital Literacy in Schools Act, aims to institutionalize digital literacy education in public schools. If this is enacted, the bill will require the Department of Education to incorporate modules on fact-checking, source verification, responsible social media use, and the critical analysis of online content into our basic education curriculum. Vargas cites rising concerns over misinformation and disinformation online. The Department of Justice's Office of Cybercrime and the UN Office on Drugs and Crime are joining forces to intensify the enforcement of cybercrime laws in the Philippines. Among the measures being planned by the two agencies are increasing the government's pool of digital forensic experts and boosting the capacities of cybercrime investigators and prosecutors. Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla said that these measures are necessary due to the rising number of cybercrime incidents in the country. Remulla will be leading a small delegation of DOJ officials to the UNODC headquarters in Vienna, Austria, to discuss this program. The visit will be conducted on the sidelines of the 68th session of the UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs between March 10th to the 14th. And closer to home, the Information Technology and Business Process Association of the Philippines assures the BPO sector the adaptation of artificial intelligence, or AI, will not lead to job losses and instead spur new job roles. IBPAP's head of technology, Dominic Ligot, who is with us in the studio today, said that AI actually automates specific tasks rather than entire jobs. He notes that while 8% of IBPAP's members have reported decreased headcount due to AI, a higher figure of 13% have seen an actual increase in workers. He cites the World Economic Forum's Future of Work report that says AI will lead to the creation of new job openings, though not necessarily in the country. IBPAP has over 400 members with almost 2 million workers expected by 2026. Today, we are diving into a game-changing shift in AI, one that could redefine how machines interact with the world, make decisions, and even operate autonomously. We're talking about Agentic AI, AI that is not just reactive, but proactive, AI that doesn't just assist, but acts on its own, AI that could fundamentally reshape industries, governance, and even human society. To help us make sense of this new frontier, we are joined today by one of the country's foremost experts in AI, data science, and responsible technology. He has worked closely with IBPAP as a technology consultant, advising us on the role of emerging tech in the IT-BPM industry and how the Philippines can stay ahead in the AI revolution. Let's welcome again Dominic Doc Ligot to the show, AI ethics advocate, technology consultant, and a key voice on agentic AI and its implications on work and policy. Doc, welcome back to the show.
Always a pleasure, Jack. Thanks for having me.
Let us dive right into it. My first question, how would you define an AI agent in the context of business process automation?
You know, the trend in generative AI started with large language models. Now, it's still the same technology, but evolved. You know, what makes an agent more than just a language model is actually three things. One is, it's not just about text. So these models are now what we call multimodal. So they can use images, voice, video, pretty much all media. Second is, remember we used to call them chatbots. You know, you give them a question, they give you an answer. Agents actually can prompt themselves and think through a complex problem, a bit closer to what we call cognition already. And then finally, in the era of large language models, it was purely just interacting with the chatbot. Now, they can interact with the outside world. They can book flights on the internet. They can search stuff on Google. Basically do what we would consider something only humans could do. So all of these factors combined are what makes agentic AI today.
Generative AI was basically all about data, data that had to be cleansed, structured, organized, and in order to yield useful information, Doc. But it sounds like agentic AI is different. It sounds like agentic AI can actually reason. Is this true? And if it is, does that mean that agentic AI will replace the decision-making and judgment of agents?
Yeah, let's break that down. It's still about data, but one thing that makes agentic AI quite compelling, especially for businesses, is you can literally ask them to fulfill a complex task. That's why there's such a thing as agentic AI workflows, where you have, let's say you want to plan a vacation. It's literally many tasks. You have to look for a place to go, book your flights, then do your accommodation. So that's exactly how agentic works as well. You give it a complex business problem and it'll break it down. I think one thing that probably spooks a lot of people is because these are ways of working that were previously, left for humans. Will this now mean that agents will replace humans? I don't think so, because at the end of the day, you still need somebody to trigger a process, and at the end of the day, after the agents do it, someone has to review the process. So the jobs will stay, but they will change, as we've always said.
So let's dig deeper into what you call agentic AI workflows. What makes that different and distinguishes it, Doc, from other types of AI applications in a business environment?
Yeah, traditionally we've seen AI primarily as a way of analyzing data, and even with the dawn of large language models, you're still kind of confined to a chat interface. Agents go beyond that. Sometimes you may not even talk to an agent. The agent's just busy doing stuff behind the scenes. And the cool thing about agents is their ability to break down a complex task by prompting themselves. And then secondly, they can also prompt other agents. You can have swarms of these agents working invisibly. And it's perfect for jobs that are very repetitive, require minimal supervision. And more importantly, jobs that require a lot of data processing, like documents, tables, spreadsheets. That's actually the first things that agentic is hoping to solve.
You were talking about AI agents, right? Swarming. But those are still being supervised by a human agent.
Yes.
So theoretically, or practically maybe, each human agent can have a group of AI agents to make him or her more productive, efficient, and faster.
Yeah, maximization of productivity has always been the compelling promise of even Gen AI when it first came out. But here it's becoming more vivid because, Gen AI was primarily focused on content. Agentic AI is focused on process. And that's why it's now easier to see how this thing can optimize a workflow in the back office, for example, or even call centers, right?
So can you provide more examples, Doc, of tasks within a typical BPO setup that are ideal for these types of AI agents and explain why are these specific tasks suitable?
Well, the first place I would look is primarily back office kind of work because it involves a lot of documents, a lot of data processing, but overall the process remains relatively repetitive and straightforward. We traditionally relied on human agents, to do all of that data gathering and processing, but it's all very repetitive. Now, the idea is, let's say out of a 20-step workflow, you can have the middle 10 steps being done by an AI agent or several agents. And what happens is you actually speed up the process, reduce errors, and maximize productivity. That's one half. The other half is there are tasks that require a little bit of creativity. For example, any customer interaction, customer experience. You don't know what kind of complaint you might get, but once you know the complaint, you'll have to craft a response to the client, whether it's on a call or email. That's also perfect for agentic AI because give them enough templates, they'll be able to craft and draft a response immediately. And even if it's still a human agent that sends the reply, you achieve a lot in a fraction of the time it would have taken to do so.
So potentially, these AI agents can make human agents super agents.
Yes.
In a sense. No?
Yeah, really, the work of 20 people can be done by one. And of course, that always triggers, a lot of doomsayers that, okay, now I can fire 19 people if I had 20 staff. But in practice, it never really works out that way. What you want to do is maximize the opportunity. So out of the 20 staff you have, arm them with agents, they can now do the work of 100. That's the business case behind it.
And given the fact that, we have more demand than supply, that actually might be a good thing. So, Doc, I have one more question. In what ways do AI agents and human employees complement each other in a workflow? And where might some conflicts or redundancies come about?
I think, and this is something the World Economic Forum has brought up, the name of the game is really job augmentation, task automation. So it's not eliminating jobs, it's enriching the jobs. Jobs have to transform. I mean, admittedly, there are many jobs in the past that have been taken over by machines. And these are jobs that would have been better done by machines in the first place. We just didn't have the technology to do so. Agentic opens up a lot of opportunity. And I think the business opportunity is there for those, not just BPOs, but local businesses who see this as a way of optimizing their costs, maximizing their revenue. And as you said, in an environment where there's a lot of demand, you don't want to let go of all that opportunity. Mm-hmm. If it was a shrinking market, it's a different story. But the market's still growing.
And the Philippines is still a world capital in this space for customer experience. Doc, we have more time for one more question. Now, how, in your words, do proponents of AI, especially in the IT-BPM or BPO industry, argue for its adoption? And what are the key benefits that are being highlighted, for those who are the proponents of AI?
Well, the top three we always talk about is productivity is number one. Achieve more with the same or less resources. Second is when we say creativity, you allow the system as a whole, your employees, your company, to solve problems that would have taken much longer in ways that you never really thought of. And the key here is the data. Because of the sheer amount of data you encounter in a typical BPO, humans will not be able to process all of that data in a humanly possible time. And I think that's really where AI comes in. You let AI go through all of that data, give you the pros and cons of every decision. It's like Waze. I keep using Waze. You don't want to be figuring out a map. You just want an AI agent to tell you in 300 meters turn left. And then you focus on driving and avoiding hitting something. In a way, that's what's happening in businesses today that are adopting AI.
That's a great metaphor, actually. We're going to be taking a short break. Tech Week, we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Good morning, I'm Mikey Oreta and you're watching Business 360 where we break down the numbers.
This week we saw the S&P 500 make a new historic high.
Connect the dots.
They withdrew from the World Health Organization.
And give you the developments and insights you need to navigate, adapt, and lead. Real Corporation is funding artificial intelligence and data science research at the University of the Philippines.
Business 360, hosted by Mikey Oreta.
Keep it here on BNC,
the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
great taken aback. I really don't know what to say. It's fabulous. I love this. It's good to see the fans again after the months off we've had, you know. And I can't wait to go and see them again in the business end.
We'd like to thank Stevie from Sunny, Steve Barnett. But most of all, we'd like to thank you, the best rock fans in the world. Jack Madrid!
Magandang gabi, ako po si Pinky Webb. At ako naman si Corina Sanchez Rojas. Simulan na natin ang agenda. Hawak na ng Korte Suprema ngayon ng isa pang petisyon para ipatigil ang impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte.
Tinuturing na deadliest year ang 2024 para sa mga mamamahayan. Hindi naman papatinag si Senate President Cheese Escudero sa mga nag-uudyok sa kanya na simulan na ang impeachment trial.
Sa bawat issue, may anggulo at ang balita may agenda.
Después de escuchar las noticias del concierto ayer al que no pude ir porque ya tenía entrada para ayer, ha sido reconfortante, ha sido increíble, ha sido maravilloso poder tenerla cerca y al menos así de cierta manera poder verla hasta que se reprograme la fecha cancelada.
We are back on Tech Week. We continue our discussion with Doc Ligot. He is an AI ethics advocate. So, Doc, let's continue this really interesting discussion. The hype and phobia around job disruption. It's not really stopped. People are still very nervous about not just the IT-BPM industry, but most work being replaced by these AI agents that we were just talking about. How would you address, to our viewers and to the general public, concerns like this?
Well, one thing that people have to understand is this technology has historically disrupted jobs anyway. What's really kept humanity moving ever forward is as technology progresses, humans also have to adapt. Upskilling is important. I mean, before word processing, people were using electric typewriters. And the first people who learned how to use WordStar or MS Word, it benefited their careers. I think it's the same thing for AI. But AI is a much richer type of technology because it can help you reason, it can help you be creative. So we also have to be creative about how should jobs look like. Like this is the first year of what we're calling Generation Beta. These are kids who will not remember the world without AI. Can you imagine what kind of work and life they will have by the time they enter the workforce in 2045? So we have to start thinking ahead. What does the world look like? What do jobs look like?
So here's a question that even I am very often asked. Given all of that given that AI is here to stay, what are the work types of the future that will be emerging soon, and on the flip side of that, what kind of skills should we be teaching our kids and the incoming generation of job seekers?
Yeah, the immediate transformation will happen in the job areas that are easy to automate. And let's admit it, there's a lot of BPO work that could be easy to automate. Doesn't mean they'll disappear tomorrow. But if you happen to be in such a job, you probably need to look at how do you expand your portfolio of skills. And what are those skills? Anything to do with AI, whether you're building the AI. We see a lot of development in the data science sector, the software developer sector, but focusing on designing how these agents work. That's the real focus. And then for the rest of the workforce, how do you work with AI? We used to talk a lot about prompt engineering. I think that's still relevant. But we also have to start seeing ourselves as part of a workflow where, as I said, out of 20 steps, maybe the first 10 steps were done by AI. How do you receive the output of those 10 steps and then finish a task? And then finally, I think there's a big challenge for leaders, those who run businesses, executives. You need to start thinking about how do you redesign your business? How do you redesign your department with AI in mind? And the reason is very simple. You want to stay competitive. They keep saying AI won't take your job. It's people who use AI that'll take your job. If you gross that up, zoom out, it's not AI that will put companies out of business. It's AI-driven companies that will put non-AI-driven companies out of business. So everyone's got to step up and take advantage of this opportunity.
One thing that is seldom talked about, Doc, about AI is the actual cost of AI, because AI is not free. There's a lot of energy that needs to be consumed to process an AI prompt. Big tech has been investing billions and billions of dollars on AI, and shareholders will, at some point, expect a return, right? So it doesn't really mean that everything that can be AI-able, if you can use that word, should be AI'd. So how do we prioritize?
Yeah, it's not just the direct cost. There's a lot of indirect cost. The direct cost is obviously the infrastructure, the software. Indirect cost is you certainly have to train your people. I remember in our last survey, easily 1/4 of our members said they need serious upskilling to remain competitive. So those are serious considerations because at the end of the day, it's a market. Market will go where it's most optimal. And it's companies that have really made investments both in the infrastructure and the people that will reap the rewards. So I think that's going to be the direction for the next few years. How some will be first movers, some will be followers. Fortune favors the bold, in these kinds of situations.
One last question, Doc. We're going to have Secretary Sunny Angara on the show in the next couple of weeks. What advice would you give him in terms of what should we be teaching our students?
I think ever since the pandemic, there's been a constant slow move from credential-based education. Everyone's still obsessed getting some sort of a diploma, towards skill-based education, where it doesn't matter what degree you have, as long as you can prove you can do a certain job or task. And that's why work like the Philippine Skills Framework that IBPAP members have been part of is very important. And we see a lot of jobs, digital marketer, web developer. These are jobs that don't require any degree, as long as you can prove that you can do the job better. So sitting in DepEd, that's what I would look like. How can we move this entire market from credential-based to skills-based? It's going to require a bit of creativity, and it's going to require AI. We need to teach AI, but we also need to use AI to teach.
From credentials-based to skills-based. That's a big takeaway for today's episode. And that's a wrap for this week's episode of Tech Week. A huge thank you to Doc Ligot for sharing his invaluable insights. The future is being built right now, and conversations like this help us decode the future and navigate what is next. Join us again next week as we dive into another game-changing story shaping technology, business, and innovation. Until then, stay curious, stay bold, and stay ahead. I'm Jack Madrid. You can catch BNC on Free TV Channel 31 and on Signal Channel 24. Thank you for watching BNC, the Bilyonaryo news channel, always on top.